Okay, thank you so much, Diana. So like Diana and Yvette said, my name is Emma Burke. I am a professional coach at Writing, Reading, Speech Assistance in the Learning Commons. And I'm here a little bit to tell you about writing a scholarship essay. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. There we go. Okay, so like I said, I work at Writing, Reading, Speech Assistance. We assist many students with scholarship essays throughout the semester. So I'm here to share a little bit of my expertise about that. So, and it was really great that Diana went through our prompts on the general application. But something I always recommend that students do is really take the time to review the prompts and make sure that you understand the questions that you're being asked in the scholarship essay. Whoever's reviewing the essay is going to be looking to make sure you've answered those completely. So it's really important to make sure you've taken the time to understand it. You'll save yourself time later. So our first prompt, and that Diana already showed this, is pick an experience from your own life and explain how it has influenced your development. So this is the required question on the general application for COD. When I break this down, I kind of see two major parts. First, sharing an experience from your life, something that has been key or memorable, and then after, how it influenced your development. So thinking about this ongoing process of time and how this event affected or changed that. This one is also just 300 words. So like Diana said, nice and short, probably a paragraph, maybe two, but not too much to write. Some scholarship essays might be a little bit more complicated or have multiple questions. For example, I know the COD Scholars Award has, I think, probably kind of a three-part question. So that can be really important to break those parts down. We'll just review real quick too the optional question as well. So from a financial standpoint, what impact would this scholarship have on your education? So like Diana said, this one could be really important or influential in your application, even though it's optional. If you're a student who has experienced financial hardship and you are willing and comfortable to share that on your essay, that can potentially be a strong point in your application. Like I said, though, it is 300 words again, so not super long for this one. So after you've had a chance to look over the prompts, you're going to want to take some time to brainstorm. Brainstorming is one of my favorite parts of the writing process because you get to be creative. It's also a very personal process. You're finding the ideas that are most interesting to you to share, and it's generative. So we're focused on generating many different ideas or paths so that you can find the story that you want to tell in your essay. So something that I like to make sure to remind students when they're going to write a scholarship essay is that you don't need to change yourself or change your story to have a good essay. Your story by itself is important and meaningful and interesting even before you start to write it. So remember that as you write your essay, that we're trying to get to know you in your essay, and we want to hear your authentic truth as you write. So I'm going to go through a few different ways that you can brainstorm when you're kind of first starting to think about how you're going to answer your questions. So one strategy I like to use is called listing. And so when you're doing a listing, brainstorming, you'll just choose one question, one prompt to focus on just for a couple of minutes, maybe 2 to 3. Set a timer, and then as fast as you can, write down any words or phrases or ideas that come to your mind. Grammar, spelling, legibility at this point doesn't matter. This is all about just getting your ideas on paper. Don't take time to like judge yourself either while you're writing the ideas. Any idea is a fine idea at this page. Only then, when time is out, then take the time to pause and review your ideas. Ask yourself if there are any questions that spark your interest. If you found an idea that you like or a few, mark or star them to come back later. This is something that I like to use right away as a first way to brainstorm. And then the next two strategies that I'm going to share are potentially useful after this. So another strategy for brainstorming is called concept mapping. And so this is when you will write down, again, words or phrases related to the prompt, but instead of writing them in a list, you're actually going to use arrows or connecting words to show relationship between the topics. Because of this can be a really great option for people who are visual learners. And also if you want to develop an idea further or just continue generating ideas. So here's an example of what a concept might look like. And I like this one because it sort of defines what a concept map is. So you can see it says a concept map represents the relationships between concepts and connected ideas. You could go around and read the other parts of it as well. But basically, you're able to sort of start to visually organize the different ideas that you have, and it might help you connect ideas that you didn't realize initially that were connected or that you could write about both at the same time. So the final brainstorming strategy I want to share with you all is called free writing. So this is a lot similar to drafting, but it's less structured and much more free form sort of stream of consciousness. So again, I would recommend setting a timer. This time a little longer is okay, 10 minutes maybe, about the prompt. And again, you're going to write as fast as you can. Make sure to keep your pencil moving. Really don't let your pencil stop. It can be really tempting to go back and cross something out if you don't like an idea. But the idea is to write down any ideas that you have, even the bad ones, because once you write the bad ones down, there are likely many good ideas underneath that bad idea. But sometimes just like mentally, you need to process it before you can move on. So once that timer goes off, that's when you can stop to evaluate, to judge, or evaluate or correct your writing. Really, really resist that perfectionist urge to do it before then, because we really want to just let the gates open and let all those ideas that are in your head about your life and things you want to talk about, we want to let those out. And then after you've done that, then you can take time to think more critically about the ideas that you like and the ones that you don't like. And I think this is really helpful too, because often this will end up informing potentially a first draft. I know I've used a lot of free writing in my own first drafts of university for or scholarship or college essays. So once you've gotten to the point, you've got a clear idea from your brainstorming, then you can move into the drafting phase of your scholarship essay. So some tips for drafting. Make sure to give yourself plenty of time and also work in a comfortable place. A lot of students will feel some anxiety as they go into writing a scholarship essay, and things like this can really help lessen that anxiety when you know you've got enough time and you're in a good place that you like to be, kind of helps set you up for success. As you're drafting, really make sure to keep the prompt in mind, whereas in brainstorming, we were really focused on letting your mind freely explore ideas. Drafting is more focused on the prompt because eventually you want it to be something that you can turn in. And another really important part of drafting is considering your audience. You want to think about who might be reading your essay, sort of what a general person might know about the topic you're writing about, or what they need to know about you in order to understand your essay. So take some time to consider this with drafting, but it's also something you can go back later and evaluate again. Drafting, again, you need to tell your inner perfectionist to take a break. For those of us who have perfectionist tendencies, this can be really hard, but resist the urge to correct or try to make things perfect. And just let yourself get your ideas out again, being less judgmental about things like grammar or spelling. This is still far more about ideas than a polished product at this point. And finally, and really most importantly, when you're drafting, you want to be true to your sense of self. That's something that I know I always go back and evaluate whenever I'm writing something about myself. You want to make sure that you're representing yourself in a way that feels true to you. And also, so the reader can hear the story, your story yourself. The reader wants to hear your story. So really remember your own value and your sense of self-worth as you write. You want that to come through in your writing. So after you've gotten a nice draft, then we're going to go to the revision phase. So I think of this sort of like similar to the end phase of brainstorming. So you're putting your thinking cap or your judge hat back on, and you're taking a step to analyze if you've accomplished what you wanted to in your essay. And if not, then you're going to be able to make some bigger changes. So some considerations when you're revising. Back to the question of, have you fully answered the prompt? You want to give your reader as much information within your word limit as you can. Is there a clear beginning and ending? The start and finish of a paper are really important in the overall effectiveness and are something that sticks with your reader. So it's beneficial to spend a little extra time there. Does the organization make sense? Is there anything that needs to be moved around so that it feels cohesive? Which moves to my next point of, is there a cohesive narrative throughout? Does it feel like it's one piece of writing altogether? Does it feel sort of like different sections that don't feel connected? And then thinking about scope. Are you writing about too big of a time period or maybe too small of a time period? Be mindful of how much detail you're going to use and consider what's most effective. And finally, again, going back to this question, which I'll go back to a few more times of, are you true to your sense of self and your sense of your own story? Revision is a great time to take an extra look at that again and make those changes so it feels better to you. So after we finish revising, we can get on to some editing and proofreading. It's nice to save this for after revisions because often if you do that editing and proofreading before you do broad revisions, you're just going to have to end up potentially deleting that section anyways or rewriting it. And this editing and proofreading is the most important to really enhance your readability and just help with the reception of your paper to however your scholarship reader is. So some feel awkward when you're reading out loud. I would recommend reading out loud to yourself or potentially pulling over a friend or a family member or mentor and reading them out loud, with them. Are there any grammar or spelling or capitalization errors? Another thing that is useful for catching another reason that reading out loud is useful is that it's easier to catch those mistakes often when you're reading out loud. And then finally, are you within the word limit? This is the point where you kind of take stock and you're like, oh, wow, like my essay is only supposed to be 300 words and I've written 400. So you'll have to kind of look at ways to shorten your essay, thinking about repetitive or unnecessary information that you don't need, or sometimes even looking down at a sentence structure level and seeing if there's a way that you can say the same thing in less words. Often like forms the verb to be can tell you that you need to move from a more passive voice into an active voice. Active voice tends to be more direct and less words. So I mentioned earlier, getting another reader can be super helpful in the writing process. And this can be really at any point. I put it in this presentation after the editing phase, but it doesn't have to be then. You can ask for input at any point in the process. So one option of people to go to are people in your support network to read. This can be helpful if they know you well and if you kind of want to see if you are portraying yourself the way that you were hoping to. Sometimes though, so friends, family members, professors, coaches, or mentors, But sometimes you want someone who might have a little bit more of like professional expertise in writing. And so that's where we can come in at writing, reading, speech assistance. So this is a really great resource for COD students that a lot of people don't actually know about. So we're located in the Learning Commons, and we're a free resource for anyone with a COD ID. And so you can come on into the Learning Commons and work with a trained professional coach. All of us have writing backgrounds, anywhere from right now, I think people with undergraduate degrees up to PhDs. We've got so many incredible writers and educators with different experiences who are here to assist you. So our appointments are 45 minutes long, and those can be in person, virtual, like a video appointment, or via email. And this is where we're located. So we're in the Learning Commons, which is in the Student Resource Center, 2102, which is just above the cafeteria. And if you're walking to Starbucks from the cafeteria up the stairs, you will see us on your way there. So you've got another reader, you've done your editing and proofreading. It's always good to do one more check before you submit your essay and your application. So a little checklist that I would recommend going through for yourself, and I will, if I'm able to, I'll attach a document to the chat that you can look at this list on your own and save it for later if you would like that. First, most important, have you shared your story in a way that feels true and authentic to you? Going back to that question of making sure you're telling your story the way that you want to, that represents you accurately as you are. Have you answered each part of the prompt? Considered your audience? Stayed within the word limit? Checked your grammar, spelling, and capitalization? And finally, and this can be super important, correctly saved and submitted your essays to the virtual application. So making sure that any formatting that you want to have preserved is preserved. I know for the COD general application, there isn't a specific file format you need to save it as because it's just in a text box, but sometimes there will be specific requirements for that. So make sure to check that. And that is all I have for you guys. I really hope that this is helpful for you as you look at writing scholarship essays and doing your applications. I've included the information here for writing, reading, speech assistance. And I hope to see some of you soon over there, and happy to take any questions that you guys have.
Does anyone have any questions? You can also use the Q&A option, and then we'll go ahead and answer any questions you may have. All right, well, we'll go ahead and stick around in case there's any other questions. If not, thank you everyone for coming. We really appreciate it and hope to see you guys in our next webinar. Thank you and have a good night.